Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a bit of a different type of thing. I'm going to be telling you sort of why I do so much Wolves content, why I know so much about Wolves, and just give you a bit of background really, because I get the question quite a lot, especially in my live streams and especially in my comments as well. So I thought it'd be a good time to just cover it. Obviously, I'm not saying too many people do this, and perhaps people won't do this because most people do content solely on the team they support, but I tend to do a lot of Wolves content because I've got a massive Wolves audience. But I think people like to see my sort of perspective on things from someone who's not emotionally attached to the club and has sort of a bias towards the club or anything like that. So I think it's really interesting in this video. If we just break it down, I'll put in a few photos and stuff like that as well from over the years. I mean, this is one of them, to be fair, but I'm basically just going to tell you why I like Wolves, and essentially why I do so much content on them. So let's get straight into this one. Now, the first and main question I always get is, do you support Wolves? And that isn't the case. I do, wish Wolves well every time they play, unless they play Liverpool. But obviously, I am a Liverpool fan. My dad's a Liverpool fan. All my rest of my family are pretty much Wolves fans. But for me, I support the team my dad supports, and I think most people around the country do, to be honest. So it's not anything really that new. A lot of people also support the team their family supports, and that's completely up to you. But for me, I support Liverpool through my dad. But essentially with Wolves, I've been going to Wolves games since I think my first Wolves game was when I was about 8. And generally, I'm sort of, I like to think I'm well clued up on Wolves. Some people in my live streams and stuff tell me that I know a lot more than some Wolves fans, which is, a compliment. But generally, I've always enjoyed going to the Molineux. It's a stadium that, especially in the sort of that 2018, 2018 to 2020 period, the atmosphere was just absolutely bouncing. Since then, it's not been as good. Still been good in one-off games and stuff, but since then it's not been to that level. Obviously, Wolves haven't been that level on the pitch for a long time as well, so ultimately that boils down to it as well. But as a ground, I've always enjoyed going to the Molineux. I've been there more times than I can count. And people might not like that because, as I say, I'm a Liverpool fan. But when I go, I still sing the songs and do that sort of stuff because I get involved in it, and I don't want to ever go to a game and just not get involved. I don't really see the point in that. It's the same way as if I go abroad and I go and watch, like, for example, I've been to watch Orlando City before, but I don't support Orlando City, but I still get involved in the atmosphere. It still contributes, you know what I mean? So yeah, essentially, that's my sort of thing on Wolves really. I've always liked going to the Molineux. I've been going to the Molineux for a long time. Every season I go to the Molineux numerous times. Along with Celta Vigo on Sunday, funnily enough, which should be a really, really good game. But generally, that's the first question answered, I suppose. Now, why do I do so much Wolves content? So, as you may gather, I've got so many Wolves subscribers, so many Wolves followers on TikTok as well. I'll put that link in the description if you don't follow me on there as well. I don't tend to do too much content at the moment because I am chocker with doing YouTube, of course. But essentially, I've got a massive Wolves audience that I've sort of brought along with me from TikTok to this. And don't think a lot of people realise I have TikTok, to be honest with you. So, like I say, I'll leave the link there. But in terms of why do I do so much Wolves videos, essentially it's because I've got so many Wolves subscribers and so many people that want to see my take on things. Like I say, I'm not someone who has a biased outlook on things. I don't have I'm not overly positive. I'm not overly negative. Definitely not overly negative anyway. And I'm quite sort of objective and can look at Wolves objectively as opposed to people who are emotionally invested in the game and in the team and in the manager and in the owners and the backroom staff and Tetty and sporting directors and all that sort of stuff. So for me, it's easier to talk about because I have the knowledge of the people and I have the knowledge of the players that are coming in as well, more importantly. So as you'll see, a lot of my videos are, why Wolves want Juan Luis Sanchez, for example, or why Wolves want Julian Rierson from yesterday's video. So generally, it's sort of, I like to provide analysis on players and player profiles, but also I like to do videos that ultimately, people want to see my perspective on and people actually do enjoy, which is quite nice. So in terms of Wolves content, there is a lot of Wolves content, but people say I only post Wolves content. That's just not the case. I've posted, some of my best ever viewed videos are Liverpool videos. So for example, there was a video I did on PSG influencing Arne Slot's transfer strategy this summer with regards to bringing in Kirkez, Frimpong and that sort of thing. So generally, most of my best viewed videos are Liverpool videos really, but like I say, there is a core group of people that want to see Wolves content, and I don't mind speaking about Wolves whatsoever because, like I say, I'm not on either side of the fence really. I'm probably leaning, closer to being, enjoying Wolves than not enjoying Wolves. But in terms of my opinion, I think people like the sort of objective outlook on it. So let me know what you think in the comments as well, and tell me why you like my videos really, because I want to know and hear it from you guys as well. Because I think a lot of people have said that that's the reason why, but you might like my videos for a different reason. So please let me know in the comments. But generally, that's why I do so much Wolves content and why I enjoy Wolves so much. And also, you have to remember, so sort of, I've known a lot of the Wolves sort of content creators, journalists, that sort of thing for a long, long time. So through doing my uni course, I spoke to a hell of a lot of them. Spoke to Jason from the Wolf Whistle podcast for a long time. I've known him for a while. Johnny Phillips, for example, works for Sky Sports, does a hell of a lot of Wolves stuff. Obviously, a Wolves fan as well. Dave has a party. Been been a pleasure to have him on the channel, but also known him for a long time. Helped with my dissertation a few years ago. So, I'm well sort of connected and well versed in the Wolves fan base really. So I like to think that's the reason that people enjoy my videos. To be honest. Now, as I've been to so many Wolves games, I'm going to give you my 3 favourite Wolves games, and I'm going to probably give you my 2 or 3 worst Wolves games that I've been to. But in terms of 3 of the best. I think first for me, I don't really want to put them in order, but I would say the United game in the FA Cup, the one where Jota sticks it in the near post after beating Luke Shaw. I think that was, I've never ever heard a ground so loud. I've never heard the Molineux so loud, definitely not. It was a special night, and I think most people who were there will tell you that. It was absolutely ridiculous. The finish, the run, the actual performance as a whole team, it was outrageously good, I think, and that was one of the ones that I think I've enjoyed the most. And then aside from that, probably the Arsenal game, I think, the one where Ruben Neves scored the free kick. That's probably up there for me as one of the best games that I've been to, one of the most enjoyable games that I've been to. It just again, the overall performance was brilliant, and around that period, any team could come to the Molineux, especially if it was under the floodlights, and it was a real tough game. Wolves were you were properly in for a game at the Molineux. It's not the case too much these days, but that's how much it felt at them in that period really. So, and then for me, from a selfish perspective, I'm gonna go Liverpool winning 2-1. The season that Liverpool won the league. Firmino scored a toe poke in the last minute. Jordan Henderson scored a mad goal, but Jimenez's header was outrageous as well. And again, the Molineux was absolutely bouncing that day, but that just showed how good Liverpool were in that time. So for me, that's probably my 3rd one. Now, in terms of worst games or worst performances maybe I've seen, I think one of them was definitely Manchester City. De Bruyne scoring 4 goals. Dendoncker scoring, funnily enough, as well in that game. But that was just complete dominance, and that was the time when Liverpool and City were going head to head for the league, and I went to the Molineux praying for a Wolves win, but ultimately it didn't happen. So that was one of the games for me where I was just frustrated, extremely frustrated. But again, it was a great game of football to watch. Then one of the worst ones was, funnily enough, my first Wolves game. It was a draw against Stoke. I can't remember the year, but it was a draw against Stoke, and the actual performance was woeful. And this was the Mick McCarthy era of Wolves as well. That was not ideal. Stoke weren't absolutely awful that season, really, but equally they weren't an unbelievable team that blew to every team away, let's be honest. But that was, for me, probably one of them. I'll probably try and flash a picture on screen if I can find it of that game. But again, that was a terrible, terrible performance. And then other than that, I think it was probably one of the Championship games in the season. Wolves got relegated. Probably all of them. Let's just put all of them in there. But generally, I don't want to put Premier League games in there, really, because ultimately, like, Wolves, we're still in the Premier League. I've seen far worse than that. I don't want to put too many Premier League games in there. But probably one of the Championship games, to be honest, from the season that Wolves went down to League One. It was just absolutely dire. But they're probably my worst and best games, having gone to the Wolves for so many years. So let me know yours as well, because I'm sure you'll have some absolutely awful ones. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would like the video, comment below a lot of your favourite Wolves games, worst Wolves games, what you think about this video, what you like to think about my opinion on Wolves as well, why you watch these videos more importantly as well. And also subscribe to the channel, because like I say, we're not too far now from 1,800 subscribers. We managed to hit 1,700 last night, which was absolutely brilliant. And I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, because we are trying to grow this channel as much as possible. And I'll see you in the next video.